What if I told you that the most powerful surveillance system in human history is not something hidden in the shadows, but something you willingly carry with you every single day? Not because you were forced to, but because it made your life easier, faster, smoother, more convenient. It knows what you buy, when you buy, how often you hesitate, and even what you almost bought, but didn't. And soon, it won't just observe your behavior, it will shape it. Because the next evolution of money is not just digital, it is intelligent, programmable, trackable, responsive, and once it fully arrives, privacy won't collapse overnight. It will slowly fade, until one day, you realize it's gone. Not taken. Traded. To understand how we got here, you have to go back, far before banks, before governments, before systems. Back to a time when value was human. Direct, simple, unrecorded, to people, standing face to face, exchanging something they both agreed had value. No history, no identity, no memory. That was barter. And for all its inefficiencies, it had one thing modern systems lost. Privacy. Then came gold. Cold, heavy, silent, a form of money that didn't ask questions. It didn't know your name. It didn't track your past. It didn't report your future. If you held it, it was yours. And for centuries, that simple principle defined economic freedom. But gold had a problem. It was difficult to move, hard to divide, inconvenient at scale. So humanity did what it always does. It optimized. Paper money was introduced as a representation of gold. A promise, a claim. But over time, that promise became optional. And eventually, it disappeared completely. Money was no longer tied to anything physical. It became an idea, a system, a controlled abstraction. And that's when the real shift began. Because once money becomes abstract, it becomes controllable. Banks digitized, transactions turned into signals, numbers moving across servers, instead of value moving between people. And with that transformation, something subtle happened. Money gained memory. Every transaction became a record. Every record became data. And every piece of data became insight. At first, it seemed harmless, even useful. Fraud detection, security, efficiency. But systems don't stop evolving at useful. They evolve toward powerful. And now, we are entering the final stage of that evolution. Central bank digital currencies. Not just digital money, but centralized digital money. Imagine a world where every unit of currency exists inside a single system, one ledger, fully synchronized, fully visible, fully controlled. Every transaction you make appears instantly. Not just the amount, but the context, where you were, what you bought, how often you do it. And over time, patterns emerge, patterns you don't even notice about yourself. But the system does. It sees your routines, your habits, your impulses. It learns when you spend emotionally, when you hesitate, when you are predictable. And this is where everything changes. Because once a system understands you, it doesn't need to control you directly. It can influence you instead. Subtly, quietly, effectively. It can reward certain behaviors and make others slightly more difficult. Not enough for you to resist, but enough for you to adjust. A small delay here, a small incentive there. And over time, your behavior shifts, not because you were forced, but because it felt natural. And then comes the most powerful feature of all. Program, maybe money that carries rules inside it. Conditions, limitations, instructions. Imagine receiving money, but that money can only be spent in certain places. Or within a certain time, or on certain categories. At first, it sounds efficient, targeted stimulus, controlled spending, economic precision. But look deeper. Because the moment money can decide how it is used, you are no longer fully deciding. You attempt a transaction, And instead of it simply happening, it is evaluated, approved, or rejected by code. Instantly, silently, without explanation. And in times of crisis, that control expands, restrictions tighten, access narrows, and the system adapts faster than any human authority ever could. This is not just financial infrastructure. This is behavioral infrastructure. And yet, despite all of this, people will accept it because it solves real problems. It removes friction. It eliminates waiting. It simplifies everything. And humans will always choose convenience over awareness. Every time. Think about it. The smartphone tracks you, but you keep it. Social media maps your behavior, but you use it. Digital payments record your transactions, but you prefer them because they are better. And CBDCs will be better too, faster, smarter, more efficient. Until the system becomes so integrated that opting out no longer feels possible. And at that point, the question is no longer whether the system controls you. The question is, how much of you it already understands. Of course, there will always be resistance. Alternatives. Systems designed for privacy, for independence, for true ownership. But those systems come with friction, responsibility, complexity, risk, and most people will not choose that path. They will choose ease, and that choice will shape the future. Because in the end, this was never just about money. It was about visibility. Because once everything you do can be seen, it can be measured. And once it can be measured, it can be optimized. And once it can be optimized, it can be controlled. Not aggressively, not obviously, but precisely. Quietly. Efficiently. Until the system doesn't need to force anything, because it already knows what you're going to do next. And maybe that is the most dangerous part of all. Not that your money is being tracked, but that your behavior is becoming predictable. And predictable systems are easy to control. So now, there's only one question left. Not about technology, not about governments, not about the future. But about you. If every decision you make with your money is recorded, analyzed, and subtly influenced, are those decisions still yours? Or did you slowly, without realizing it, become part of a system that decides for you?